Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name is Evan.
And we are the hosts of the Too Vague podcast. Today, our word is the word map. So, Dora, the explorer, 2 words that don't rhyme. There's a stand-up comedian who does a bit about the map song for Dora the Explorer. Who's like he imagines how Brian Regan. Are you familiar with him? His stand-up?
No.
He's like one of the best clean stand-up comedians. By clean, I just mean not a lot of profanity or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He did a bit about being in the pitch meeting for the map song, where they're going, "Oh yeah, are you ready with that song?" Yeah, no, we got it. Yeah. I'm the map. Anyway. You were older when that came out, right? Or were you?
Like
was
Dora?
that your time frame? Yeah. Was that when you were?
I guess you could say we're about the same age. I liked Dora when I was younger. Don't get me wrong. Like that was my jam. Okay. Dora was great for me.
Right. Did it help you learn Spanish?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to flex that at all here.
Like muy poquito. Or, I don't know.
Very, very little.
Yeah,
very little. I took Spanish in middle school.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the tier of that. I should get back into that. But yeah, I watched a lot of Dora growing up.
Yeah.
It was I was the child that they put in front of the TV.
And you said you were people thought you were Dora. Have you ever gone as Dora the Explorer for Halloween?
No, absolutely not.
Are you just not going to do that?
No. So I've had bangs ever since I was born. I swear to God.
Right.
So
you just came right out.
I just came out with full-fledged fringe.
Yeah.
That's how I came out. And I always kept my hair kind of shorter for a long time, so I always got made fun of as like looking like Dora. So I kind of was like, you know what? I hate this Dora chick.
Yeah. She may like maps.
Yeah,
That's kind of where in the world was Carmen Sandiego? That was before you. But that was kind of like a map-centric. The Rand McNally people are trying to rope the kids into learning about maps. Have you ever had to use a paper map personally, like when you're on a road trip?
Not an official map, no.
Not even an atlas?
In elementary school, we learned about atlases and maps and stuff like that. We had the big map where it was like...
It was a rumor.
Ooh.
It was a rumor.
It was a rumor. Yeah, it was kind of like... It wasn't popular enough, but it was still something within my time frame that was, you need to know this.
Right. But geography.
God, I hate geography.
Why is that? Is it the memorization part?
Memorization, and I'm horrible with direction.
Okay.
That's it, cut and solid.
Gotcha. So you don't know which way is north.
Listen, all right. I'm still learning about it, but in Colorado, mountains are west.
Okay.
And they're north for you guys here.
Yeah. Well, you got we're in the valley,
surrounded.
Right? So
Yeah.
For me, paper maps were things that we used but
back in the day.
Back in my day. There was a thing with paper map. Oh, my father was a huge fan of maps. Whenever I would talk to him about going someplace, or whenever he was planning a trip, the very first thing he did was go to the Rand McNally store and find the right map. And if you want a map, there are a couple things you got to consider. You can't use old maps, like you go to the gas station and they've got maps on the wall. And half of them are like out of date.
Yeah.
So you couldn't look that stuff up on a phone back in those days. So you had to just trust the map.
Just trust your map.
Trust your map.
Your trusty map.
But yeah, he was always like, I would say, hey, I want to go to this place. And he'd just buy me a map. And it was really kind of, trying to encourage me. It's like, plan your trip out. I think maps are cool in that sense. Do you ever use Google Maps or anything? Or?
Yes. Oh my God. Google Map is actually my best friend.
Yeah.
Her and I, best friends. Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I love Google Maps for the sake of technology is so different to what obviously it used to be is if you look it up on, let's say I was trying to go to your house,
Right.
it would have given me, like, depending on the time of day, depending on the weather,
Yep.
depending on the roads, traffic.
Yep.
It just is like, you can get here like your ETA. Like, if you take this road, it'll get you there faster. If you take this road, you'll be about 5 minutes late.
Yep.
That stuff's so crazy to me, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah, those are things built into, I mean, that weren't built into maps, right? That's a part of what makes maps nowadays more convenient on our devices, is that kind of, for the lack of a better word, telemetry, kind of like that kind of information, right?
Right.
Is it's really cool that you can build that in and kind of predict a schedule. There's also a cool thing like now also with a lot of the way Google does its maps, where you can zoom down into the actual like scenery. So if you ever wonder if you're in the right spot, right, you can just zoom down into it and go, okay, yeah, the building's over here. And they keep all those pretty well up to date, don't they?
I can actually fight you with that.
Okay.
So back in Colorado, I still remember my address from my childhood home.
Right.
And I looked it up the other day, and they still had the oldest pictures
Oh.
of my house, of when my grandma was doing, like, she was renovating her. She really had this idea to put a deck in the front, so there's just wood everywhere. And
Gotcha.
if you look
so
it
still
up,
still have the picture there?
it's still there.
Yeah.
To this day.
How long ago was that?
Oh gosh, maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I've seen those Google, I mean, I haven't seen them recently, but usually, you would see those cars that are actually filming that stuff going around. I would see those in town occasionally, where they were mapping out the streets, or not mapping, but taking photos to put into the Google Maps, which is kind of an interesting thing. I've got a cool story about Google Maps as far as zooming down into that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I hang out at coffee shops. And I particularly, I used to hang out at this one coffee shop that there was a guy who was a veteran. Must have, he was older man, probably Vietnam vet.
Oh, wow.
And he had some mental problems, some mental issues. He would, be talking to himself and all sorts of things like that. But he was, generally a good guy. He couldn't drive or anything, but he would go to the coffee shop. I don't know if I should.
Said coffee shop.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say Starbucks. Everyone else says Starbucks.
I guess you could say Starbucks,
So
because there's
I went
so many locations.
to the Starbucks, the only one in town. No, so he would go to the Starbucks with his computer, right? And he would go on trips. So he would say, oh, I'm going to go to Japan today, or I'm going to go to Peru. That's what he would do. He would travel through, like, the visual maps by going through. And it's like, and that's not something that he could do because of, the situation he's in, right? He wants to travel, but he would need other people to be with him when he travels, whether he realizes it or not. And it was kind of cool that you can do that these days, where you can't do that in a map. You can't even do that in a book, right?
Right.
Books have pictures of things, but it's not like you can't look around. You
interact.
Can't, right. You can't see people on the street. And that's the other thing too. It's like, oh, I went to, he would make up his little stories with these things too, which was kind of, like cool and sad at the same time.
Right.
but yeah, it was really interesting and unique how technology and maps kind of allowed this gentleman to do things that, even 10 years ago he wouldn't be able to do.
Right.
So
cool fact as well. Snapchat. If you follow out, or if you kind of like zoom out on the map, you can click on different parts of the world, and people can publicly share stories with the entire world. So if you're ever curious and like what's happening in Vegas, they have massive stories where you can click, and then you just see a whole bunch of people's perspectives on like what's happening in Vegas or Japan. It is really cool to see, actually.
Oh, I can't say I've ever used Snapchat.
That's fair.
Because I'm an old geezer. but I mean, Snapchat is less of a social app, right? Or is it?
It's
Because I thought, what's the premise behind Snapchat? Because I thought it was you send someone a picture and then it disappears.
That's exactly what happens.
Okay.
The gist of it is you take a picture of something or yourself,
Right.
send a text or whatever you feel like, and send it to somebody. And you can still have chats in it now. They really updated it where you can like save pictures and chats and stuff. It's really, really just too much now, but it's so fun.
So it's more of a social communication kind of thing than it was before. Where before it was just send messages to your buddies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Or send dick pics to your buddies.
That's exactly what would happen.
But now they've got social things on it. Is it as used for that as something like Twitter, or is Twitter kind of, or Twitter or Instagram? Are those kind of more higher echelon things than Snapchat, or is Snapchat just kind of
more of a personal thing compared to like Twitter or Instagram? I don't personally have a Twitter, so I don't really know what that's all about.
Right.
Instagram, on the other hand,
it's about birds.
It's about the birds.
Yeah, it's about the birds.
I know that Instagram, you can selectively choose like, random people that you want to view. That's so stalker sounding, but it's true.
Right.
Like if you idolize, I don't know, like a singer or something, you follow them on Instagram and then you can see their whole life pan out, compared to like Snapchat, where you have your selected amount of friends that you communicate with.
Right.
And I don't know, I just thought it was kind of cool that one day I zoomed out.
Yeah.
I'm definitely sure that you could branch it out more. They tried to add in this kind of like a social blog wall, I guess, where you can see just like, I don't know, it's the weirdest thing nowadays, to be honest with you. You kind of see like life hacks or other people's Snapchats that are like more famous and stuff, like Kim Kardashian's. I've been talking about Kardashians a lot.
Actually, you know what? When you mentioned Kardashian before, I was going to say, there's a new Netflix show.
Oh my God, get out of here.
No, it's not with her. She's a guest on it. It's Paris Hilton doing cooking.
Oh my God,
I
want to see this.
Paris Hilton cooking show.
Never mind, I changed my viewpoint.
It's actually kind of funny in a Paris Hilton kind of way, where she's, being Paris Hilton, learning about stuff, and she's going to cook something for her friends, and then she's got a planner that plans out the room and the way it's going to look and how it's going to like the decor in it and all this stuff. And I don't know how much she's spending on that, but it's like
matter.
It just
it doesn't matter to her.
It's so funny. And then also, of Kim Kardashian and her, I think they were cooking a frittata. They were doing breakfast.
Okay.
And she's like, "Have you ever made a frittata?" To she says that to Kim. I go, "No, I've never made a frittata before." So they both made frittatas for the very first time. But Kim Kardashian is one who has the more experience with making breakfast for her kids.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, you know how old Paris Hilton is now?
Oh my God, no. Tell me.
She's 40.
Really?
Yeah.
She's trying to be Martha Stewart.
I don't know. Maybe. No, I think she realizes that what she wants right now is she's freezing her eggs, I think, and she wants kids.
Oh.
Yeah, she made some mention of that on the show.
I had no idea. Wow, I mean, good for her.
Well, yeah, I mean, she is a heir to the family, to the Hilton family, whatever, fortune. But it's interesting what people place importance on when you have money. Money. It's just interesting. I don't judge, but it's just kind of like, you should just watch it just because
I will.
They're like 4 or 5 episodes. You can burn through them pretty quickly. It's like, she uses edible glitter a lot.
Of course.
It's like, really?
Of course.
She's got this salt that's like pink salt. And I know that salt is the most expensive salt because I've had this pink salt. It's salt that's harvested from somewhere in like off of a beach.
Right.
I went
pink
to
Himalayan salt.
I don't know exactly specifically what it is. I know it's a kind of, if it's Paris Hilton, she probably bought some really expensive salt.
Probably.
And didn't realize it was expensive salt. She put it like on popcorn or something ridiculous. But anyway, let's not talk about Paris Hilton. Let's talk about maps.
Yes, please.
Because maps are fun. You know what? I've got a crazy idea about maps.
Yeah.
Paper maps, though.
Okay.
I don't think you could do this with Google Maps. You know, origami
Love it.
with maps. So you could basically figure out how certain thing that you're going to do an origami, swan or whatever,
Right.
and put your town. Like you could fold it in such a way to get Tucson at a certain spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder if I'm sure people have already thought of this before,
I gotta look this up.
doing
now.
like origami with maps.
I
But
will look this up for you.
yeah, because it seems like that paper it's rigid enough to where you could do it. There's Hawaiian money folding where they do folding in that way, where you've got the various parts of the dollar bill appearing, or the $20 bill or whatever appearing in some various spots.
Right.
But yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So people do origami with maps.
Are those like custom deals, or they just do whatever? They just do their.
I guess it's just kind of whatever. I'm sure that if you wanted to go through like the extent of it, you could.
Yeah, it just would take an understanding of what surfaces are exposed when you do these folding things, and which ones will not be, and you just would have to cut the map in such a way to
Get that
customize it.
personalized.
Yeah, it would be a good way to use all those excess maps.
Band maps, turn them into origami.
That no one, yeah, exactly, that no one uses anymore. And here's the thing with maps, paper maps. I hate to sound like the old guy again, but one of the things about paper maps when you were in your car, usually you would pass the map to your whoever the passenger was. They were the person who would tell you where to go. That hasn't changed, right? That's pretty much, well, no, it has changed, because now you've got Siri or whatever telling you where to go, or Google,
Yeah.
right? But you used to have your co-pilot. You'd need a good co-pilot if you were going to get somewhere with a paper map. So, which will lead into our discussion about the sport. There is a sport that is involved with maps.
Wow. Scavenger hunts.
Sort of.
Okay.
Sort of.
Okay.
But the thing with folding maps is that people would always have problems putting the maps back together in the way that it was originally. And I never had that problem. And I don't know.
I always did.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I really did. I swear.
You just couldn't.
But yeah, I could never get the map back together again, no matter how hard I tried. That was the hardest thing for me. So I just start folding it
Right.
whichever way. I was like, I just need to collapse this
Yeah.
map. And I could never keep like a proper map.
I never had that problem. I paid attention to the folds in such a way that it didn't frustrate me. It was just kind of like, and I kind of remembered sort of the order in which I folded things up. My brain works weird.
No,
Always-
you're on next level stuff here.
It was always worked. Well, I mean, everyone has their different little things, the way their brain works. That's what makes people cool and unique and interesting.
It's true.
So, and I won't hold it against you that you got frustrated with maps, because they can be frustrating. Okay, so here's another thing that you don't have to do anymore
Okay.
in today's day and age that you always had to do in my day. Write out directions for someone.
Actually, false.
Okay.
So
you've done that before, where you draw out a map?
Yeah, actually. Or given somebody like directions.
Do you prefer doing a map or doing actual written out directions?
I'm a more visual person, so I remember things more with what the things are related to. So if I was to ever compare, obviously, a location to something, I'm like, oh yeah, like kind of how I was explaining that cat cafe to you earlier.
Right.
I was like, it's over by the Albertsons off of Campbell and
Right.
Glen, and like.
Yep, I think a lot of people do that. They
Right.
associate things with like those spots where they're visual markers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I used to put those on the map when I would draw the map.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
love to do that.
This is a Chick-fil-A here. And then you'll cross this, and then you take this light, and then there's this, McDonald's.
Then you give them like a little legendary. Here you go.
You got to do the golden arches whenever
Of
you do
course.
that. Whenever you do that, or the Taco Bell thing.
Oh my
the
god,
bell.
love Taco Bell.
Really?
Yes.
What is your favorite Taco Bell item?
My favorite Taco Bell item. It used to be the Crunchwrap Supreme,
Okay.
but I've solely started eating the nacho fries when they came back. A and
Oh
B
yeah.
the
Are those brand new?
chalupas.
Okay, so have you seen that commercial with the anime?
Yes.
Is that cool?
Yes.
Because I think it's cool.
I love it.
Yeah. It would go over so many people I know, like older people's heads. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't get it. They wouldn't understand it. And I actually want to see that.
As a Western side, we've really taken over a lot of Eastern culture.
Well, you know what? I think there is an interesting thing is there's some overlap there. Japan, after the war, their culture is based on a lot of stuff in our culture. Right? And they took things, and then we took things, like people say this stuff about cultural appropriation. You're exchanging customs and things that are interesting. You're not taking it for yourself. You're just basically embracing something that's something unique and interesting and different and experiencing it with your own
twist.
Yeah. With your own perspective, right?
Right.
It's kind of cool that way. I still don't agree with mustard on pizza.
Yeah, I can't really get with
that one. I think that
one.
is kind of yucky. Oh my gosh, speaking of mustard on pizza. Now, okay, are you a ranch person?
Yes.
Okay. I am not a ranch person unless it's on a salad.
I love it.
You just put ranch on salad. Me, that's all you do with ranch.
Okay.
You don't put it on everything else. You don't put it on chips. You don't put it on trees for Christmas. You don't put it on any, you don't put it on a lot of stuff.
Are you a ketchup guy?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm a no condiment guy. I
really?
just salt, pepper. Sometimes a little garlic powder, but in general, I don't put a lot of spice or a lot of condiments. There are certain condiments that are required for certain things,
right?
Like a Chicago-style hot dog. You need to put that glow-in-the-dark weird-ass relish on it. You need that. And then also another thing that makes a Chicago-style hot dog is celery salt. Those are two things you need. Some people will say like the sport peppers and things like that too. But yeah, where were we going with this?
We were going off about ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing. Okay, so you're a ranch person. So what do you put ranch on?
I love ranch with salads.
Okay.
I really like it with pizza to dip it in.
That is what I was going to go off on. There is a friggin' commercial on. Guy's delivering a pizza. And then somehow he sneaks in a bottle of ranch into the pizza. Okay. And then the people go, they go, ooh, ranch. And they dip the pizza in the ranch and eat it. And then he goes, you're welcome.
Basically.
That's the whole commercial.
That sounds great. Did you know, don't quote me on this. I'm really, really bad with geography. But over in the UK, they don't have ranch. They don't have Hidden Valley Ranch. They don't know what that is.
Well, that's probably a much cleaner society. They also have really bad pizza.
I bet.
And this is speaking from me and my experiences in London when I was 18, which was in 1989.
Oh, wow.
When I graduated high school. We were over there and, we were kids. So it's like, what do you want to eat? We're done trying all these fancy things. We want to go have some pizza. We tried a couple of different pizza places, and they were the crust was soggy.
Oh,
it was
yum.
like ugh. It was the worst pizza. The only place we could get decent pizza was Pizza Hut.
I love Pizza Hut.
That was the only place you could get pizza over there that wasn't. Well, I mean, there are places better than Pizza Hut, right? Yeah. But it's a standard. It's a standard.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So is that your preferred pizza?
If I had to choose, because I know Pizza Huts are literally everywhere, so that's usually my go-to because they've always done me a solid. They're always it's so good. It's so good to me. I love it. It's overpriced, but it's really good.
What are your thoughts on Domino's?
I'm not really prejudiced.
Okay. All right.
But really, I will eat any pizza, but by far, Pizza Hut's my go-to.
Okay. Well, being from the Chicago area, people always assume that I'm a deep dish guy.
Right.
Which is not true. I'm a California Pizza Kitchen guy.
Oh yeah.
So I'll try weird shit on my pizza.
Pineapple?
But I like what I see now that's
you said it. You brought it up. You brought up weird stuff on pizza.
I said weird shit on the pizza, but when I was thinking rosemary chicken potato.
Oh wow.
Or barbecue chicken pizza, or I wasn't thinking the devil's pizza. You know, I wasn't thinking the demon pizza known as Hawaiian, which isn't Hawaiian. You know where it was invented?
Where was it invented? Tell me.
Canada.
Of course. Of course. It's
Canadians. Canadian. I love Canadians. I don't love their pizza.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, Hawaiian pizza.
Hawaiian false pizza.
Faux pizza. Fotza. What's the weirdest pizza you've ever had?
Oh my God.
Like weirdest topping wise.
I stop. Okay, I don't push myself with my pizza likings.
Okay.
I can tell you the weirdest pizza I've ever eaten.
Okay.
So my mother, bless her soul, she loved pepperoni pizza
Okay.
with anchovies on it.
Okay.
And I was like, that's weird because I'm not the biggest fan of fish, much less fish that comes out of a can.
Right.
But bless her soul, she loved that stuff. And I was like, it smells rancid. Get it away from me.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Right.
But I tried it. I was not here for it. But good for her. Good for her.
Right. Right. You know, at least you tried it.
I tried it.
Yeah. And that was the pineapple equivalent of the day was making fun of people who put anchovies on pizza. I think that was like a generational thing. People were like,
probably.
oh, don't put the anchovies on there. Ooh, yuck. But yeah, and then it turned into pineapple.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. What this has to do with maps, I have no idea. But it's a good pizza conversation.
We do.
So anyway, the weirdest thing I've ever had on pizza, I don't know if you know the place Sauce.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My go-to there, sausage and caramelized onion. Oh, the
That
sausage and
sounds
caramelized
good.
onion pizza is amazing there. And what I have them do is I put some smoked mozzarella on there in addition to the other. It gives it a nice smoky flavor.
Yeah.
It's so good. Wood-fired oven kind of stuff.
That sounds
But
good.
anyway, one time I went to Sauce. I think it was the first time I ever went to Sauce with my friend Michaela. We went there and I saw this pizza and it was prosciutto and melon. And I thought that I don't know. I don't know what I think about that. I think I'm going to order it and see. And then I ordered it and I took a bite and I was like, I don't hate it. I really don't like it either.
Right.
It was the weirdest thing in the world, and the manager there detected.
She saw.
She
sensed it.
She saw my facial expression. She's like, you know what? I can give you just a standard pizza, just whatever you want. Just and we'll give it to exactly. And which was cool, very cool as far as customer service is concerned. Yeah. That was the weirdest pizza I've ever had. Prosciutto and melon.
What melon was it?
It was mixed. It was both.
It was mixed.
Yep. It was honeydew and cantaloupe. It was like little shavings of honeydew and cantaloupe. Like little slices that were really weird.
That is so strange.
Yeah. It's no longer on the menu.
Oh.
They have now replaced it with prosciutto and fig.
That doesn't make it any better. That does not make it any better. I hate figs and dates. Those are wrong, sinful snacks.
Yeah. So I don't know if they've learned their lesson.
No, they didn't. This is obvious.
Yeah. So pizza. Let's get back to maps.
Maps.
Yes. Maps.
We were kind of going on the tangent of if I like to draw them out or give people directions.
Yeah.
So fun story. An old restaurant that I used to work in tended more to the elderly folk, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So I would get quite the handful of calls of, hi sweetie, like where's your place located? I can't seem to find it. So me, the obviously person who doesn't know directions for anything, would either give the phone off to somebody or do my absolute best to direct this sweet old woman into this restaurant to get her whatever she needed.
So like real time.
So like real time, she's like, I had to kick it into gear. I became Google Maps to this sweet old lady. She's like, I'm driving off of like north of Campbell. And I'm like, okay, give me 2 minutes to figure out exactly where that is.
Yep.
That was really hard for me, actually. But she got there.
Well, that's good. That was good. At least you directed someone to the location that they needed to get to.
Right.
So back in the older days, and we're talking long ago.
Okay.
When you had people who made maps and distributed them, what they would do is they would make trap streets.
Trap streets?
Yep. Can you think of what a trap street would do?
The only thing that comes to my mind with that is like an alleyway.
Okay. No, it's not. It's not like literally
A
a place. Yeah. It's not literally a trap. Well, it is kind of.
You kind of throw me off here.
Right. Here is what a trap street is. It is a street that is put into a map that is a fake street, so other map companies won't copy. It's like something that's like an imperfection that's
a watermark
put into
in a way.
Exactly.
That's sick.
Yeah, except it's an actual street that doesn't exist. Those types of activities were done with paper maps until in 1992 in federal court found that trap streets included on a map cannot be copyrighted. You cannot copyright a trap street. So if you put a trap street there, some other dude making a map can also put that same trap street there because there's no copyright on that.
Right.
So it's legal.
It's legal.
It's legal to actually use something that was used to try and trip people up. This is all in the U.S. I think there are other rules apply elsewhere, but in the United States, federal court found in 1992 that you can't copyright a street, and therefore you can't use a trap street to make a map that's unique to your map company or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty weird, huh?
That's new. But I mean, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, and that's according to copyright law. That was an interesting fact that I found when I was doing my little my research for the map episode, which is this episode. Just in case you thought it was an episode about pizza.
Or Dora.
Or Dora the Explorer. No, it's about maps. So anyway, the sport conversation.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about, are you a sport person? Are you an Olympics person?
Not so much.
No?
Not so much. I was encouraged to play a lot of sports growing up.
Okay.
So I played a lot of soccer.
Gotcha.
I was put in ballet. I was put in gymnastics, and I was also put in swimming. Swimming was the biggest one for me. That was the one I held on to longest, where I would actually do like a lot of, not swimming tournaments or nothing like super professional.
But it was an enjoyable thing.
But it was definitely an enjoyable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did like it quite a bit.
Okay. Are you familiar with the sport of orienteering?
No idea.
Okay. Orienteering. It's kind of like, well, you know what? Before we get to orienteering as a sport,
yeah.
Have you heard of geocaching?
Heard of it. Know nothing about it, but I've heard of it.
Okay. So geocaching is a way that you basically hide things. It's a form of what was called
oh my god, it just
letterboxing.
hit to me. I know what that is.
Okay. Yeah. You go to the spot that you're given. They used to have this thing that in most GPS devices that would send false readings of where you were occasionally. So if there was ever an attack or anything like that, or for some nefarious purpose someone wanted to get your location, it would give you a false location, and it was that was a feature of it. It would tell you that you were elsewhere, right?
Right.
But once that was taken out of GPSs, then this pastime of geocaching became more popular. And it's similar to what is called letterboxing in the 1850s, where it's basically you're given a location, go to that location, and then there is a thing that you find, or a book to sign, or a stamp that you can put in your book. Like, you know, so it's like you go to these different locations and you find things, and sometimes people do like puzzles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or put things where you've got to kind of figure stuff out, but there are rules as far as, you know, you don't put anything nasty in them or whatever.
Right.
But it's just a thing, and it's something that my friend and her husband really got into. She would say, "Oh, hey, we're going to go out to lunch, but I want to go check out a geocache that is over behind this Denny's or whatever."
Right.
It's like, okay.
So
it's like, "Did you find it?" And she's like, "Yep." And then that's it.
There's I don't mean to interrupt, but this is really sparking my interest. They have this they came out with this app called Randonaught, or it's like Randonauting.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
No. What is that?
So Randonauting was, I believe, I don't know what the app is called, but it's very similar to geocache, except you can kind of look up what you would be looking for in a location.
Okay.
It actually got very popular for like murders.
So like murderers use this thing?
Yeah, murderers use this thing to set up people to either kill them or places that they've buried bodies.
Yikes.
So you could go out and you basically type in the top. I've never seen the app myself, but I've seen it all over the internet. You type in what you're looking for. And a lot of the times people can put in places like, oh, this is where you'll find money, or this is where you can find something else. And people get so curious and they love messing with things that they shouldn't.
Right.
And they would find dead people or places where people like, satanic cult stuff or, dead pigs.
How much of that is people fucking with other people? And
so
how
much.
Of that,
99.9% of it, 100% guaranteed. But it's still not fun to like try to pull up on an abandoned house and see a dead pig. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So these people who do the geocaching, it's governed by, the community.
Yeah.
So the community basically manages that sort of thing. And if they ever, it's like, you're not going to get the information on where this stuff is unless you're a member of the community. And if you do something like put a dead pig at a certain spot or whatever, they'll know, and then you will be out of the group and whatever. But I guess it only takes one murder, right? I mean,
basically,
it's pretty weird. I'm not going to look up Slipknot or whatever you called it. Randonaught. Slipknot is a different thing. Yeah, they're a band.
That's true.
So, Orienteering, the sport of orienteering. It originated in the Swedish military in the 19th century. It is basically a proficiency where you use a map and a compass to get to various places. And, it's basically an exercise in how to navigate, when you don't have directions, essentially. It's basically navigating an environment. And it's a sport. After the military, the Swedish military did this more as training. But then in 1897, the first civilian competition was held in Norway. There are various versions of orienteering. There's an orienteering council that basically that's their World Orienteering Championships. There was a couple of attempts actually, to get the sport of orienteering into the Olympics.
Yeah, I would imagine. That would be an interesting thing to watch, though.
Some orienteering competitions involve things like running. If you have to go to be the first person to something, right, you're going to either run or, there are variations that you do on skis, mountain biking, by foot. Yeah, it would be an interesting thing to watch, I think, in some way. Like, I don't know, maybe it would be relaxing, like golf would be
Golf would be very extreme.
Do you like golf at all or no?
I've never played like big boy golf. I've always played mini golf.
You know what? That's the only golf to play.
It's true.
I agree. You don't have to choose your clubs. You just got your putter. That's all you got to do.
Have as much fun as you can.
Yep. Hit it into the windmill or whatever. Oh. I have a note here about orienteering.
Okay.
You ever watch The Amazing Race?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I did. That was a big thing for me.
I think that's urban orienteering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I have here, The Amazing Race is urban orienteering with assholes.
It's true.
That's what it is.
It's true.
Would you ever be on one of those shows?
Yeah. Why not? I would love to for the experience.
Yeah.
And because they always take place in like the coolest places.
Yeah.
Didn't they do it in like Japan too? They might have.
They've had like 40 seasons, right?
Yeah,
so
basically.
They must have done it. If I want to do The Amazing Race, I would just do it on my own at a leisurely pace.
Yeah, not to be rushed or anything.
Right. So my Amazing Race would just be go to a city.
Scavenger hunt.
Just do my thing. Just find places that I want to go to and just kind of explore. But I can see the appeal of kind of a competition where you've got a prize at the end. And...
I'm super competitive.
Oh, okay.
So I would love to do something like that. I
Yeah.
like to. It would be. I could imagine it as like a big escape room.
Oh yeah,
That's kind of how I view it.
Okay, so have you done escape rooms? Because no.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
I've wanted to, but I've never gotten the chance to.
because I think an escape room, your probability that you'll escape and not be frustrated, it has a lot to do with the people that you're in the escape room with.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the right alchemy of people, right, you're going to be frustrated and just say,
absolutely.
throw your hands up. So let's tie this to video games, huh?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Are you familiar, he asked knowingly, with the game Mappy?
Of course. I loved Mappy growing up. I really did. Mm-hmm.
What was it about Mappy that you liked the most?
Well, I like the challenge of it. So what I played it on, they never gave you directions on how to play the game.
Oh, okay.
They said, figure it out.
Right.
I said, cool. So I kind of like the trampolines, obviously. Like
Right.
after you jumped on them so many times before they reset, you broke through.
Right.
Or the doors. The doors were so fun. I love slamming the doors in the cats' faces. That was so fun. Yes, that was so fun.
Yeah. There are certain levels where you use the trampoline and you go through the roof and you get into the attic, right?
Yeah.
Which you didn't know was there.
Exactly.
Right.
I spent so much time playing those games where I would use the trampolines to my advantage.
Right.
And I would jump on them till they would break through and kill like all the cats that I could, and you'd get all those points racked up.
Right.
And each game, would obviously progress with more cats, and that would scare me so bad.
You were scared?
Yeah, they would come for your soul. They wanted your Mappy soul. They were like, we're gonna steal everything and then take your soul. And I was like, perfect.
The meow keys.
Yes.
Yep. Which is mew keys in Japan. Yes. Here's another interesting fact about the name Mappy. In Japan, it's actually called Mappo. Mappo. And that is basically a pejorative meaning of cop. so that's it's a negative way to say that. No. And before that, you know what Mappo meant? Anus.
Oh my God.
So there you have it.
There we go.
Interesting. So in the arcade, the way that I racked up my points in that game was always with the matching. And then you had to, and also if you paid attention to the little boss cat, which things he hid behind, you could get bonuses that way too. Uh-huh. Yeah. It was such a great game.
It's very Yakuza.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, so just kind of think about it. So Yakuza, right? Japanese gang.
Right.
So you have your big boss man. The big gato.
And he's got the big fucking mansion.
Exactly. He's got his big, massive mansion, and he's got his little homies.
Yeah, and they all
chase after you while trying to protect their boss, right? Mr. Gato, who steals all of these precious things.
That is totally, yep. That you hit the nail right on the head, and also with the anus.
Yep.
Sorry, the cop.
Mr. Cop.
The cop. A question about maps and games. I know that you like a lot of the Assassin's Creed stuff, and you a lot of like the open world stuff, right? Uh-huh. Things like, Fallout. Mm-hmm. Which, in games like that, the map is a very important thing.
You know what
right?
else? What other game the map is very important in?
What is that?
Minecraft.
Yes.
Minecraft, 150%.
Right.
Like, I get so upset when you die and you have your map on you and you, for whatever reason, just take it like right off a cliff into some lava. Like, that's it. Your map's gone. And you just dedicated like the past maybe 2 hours filling up your entire map, exploring everything. And like, the maps are the most massive important things in that game, to be honest with you, besides like the crafting and stuff. But your locations, like, they have it even set on like X and Y. I know that the newer updates don't really prioritize that map effect anymore.
Okay. So if you build a pit of lava and you fall into the pit of lava, you lose your map?
So when you play Minecraft, Your main goal is to kill the Ender Dragon.
So it's not just like building a thing and building your stuff.
It's prioritized mainly on building.
Okay.
That's what I would like to go for. Like the main goal, like what they built it for, was like, hey, cool, go kill the Ender Dragon, but you have to go scavenge for your materials.
Gotcha.
You have to do this, but you build a house because you want this beautiful place to keep all your stuff in, right?
Right.
When you die, all your stuff falls off your person.
Okay.
And if you have a map on you, you lose your map.
All right.
But coordinates in that game are important, especially if you're trying to find diamonds or you're trying to find certain gems within certain levels. If you were ever looking for anything specific, like a map was kind of your go-to key. And if you wanted to fill up your entire world map, that was a big thing too. I always valued maps because in any game, regardless, I do always get lost. I always get lost.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed, Dying Light, all of these things, like you prioritize trying to find where you're going on somewhere. Like I always resort to a map no matter what.
Right. And that's another, like some of those games where you expose portions of the map as you go. Right?
Yeah.
It's a Cartesian coordinate system, right?
Yeah,
that you're using with Minecraft. You know, when we used to, back in my day again, Jesus, I'm sorry. When I would play games and you have a map, like you're going through a dungeon or whatever, you would draw it out on a piece of graph paper. And that's just what we did, right? So a lot of those things, like in Minecraft that uses the Cartesian coordinate kind of thing, it's the same thing, but the map is actually in the game.
Yeah.
Do people draw out those maps in real life so they can go back to where they...
Instead they use coordinates.
Okay.
I've noticed a lot of people or streamers use coordinates whenever they're trying to find like their house or like a really good place that they like.
Okay. So that's how that's the way that they keep track. They write those things. They write them down, or do they just memorize them?
Memorize them.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I would still prefer the old method of pen and paper, but I remember like things like even text-based adventure games where you have various paths you can go down, right? Wouldn't even have to be a physical thing. It would be even like, okay, well, I got to this point and then I did this thing. And what did that end up getting me to? You know, I would do these like maybe even flow diagrams is kind of, it was kind of a story map of sorts that I would do for like a lot of these older like text-based adventure games. Do you have any notable maps in your game playing experience where you go, that was a pretty fucking awesome map?
Wow. Considering that maps are literally in everything. I can't say no, but I will say what makes a good map is a good legend.
Exactly.
And that's the best thing that I can say.
You hit the nail on the head. A good legend.
Yeah.
Like there's certain mission types.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Have those in there. Depending on the game itself, you don't have to expose all that shit all at once.
Yeah.
It's like if you get to a certain point, or if you find a certain object, or if you do something, you can gamify it to where you can find all the hidden things. Did you ever play the Doom games? Like
no, but I really wanted to.
Yeah. Like I heard the latest iteration of Doom was pretty amazing, but it was also pretty hard. But the original Doom, you know, the very first one, the one that ID Software put out as a free demo where you got like the first level and you played it on a PC. It wasn't on an actual floppy disk. It was, do you know what a floppy disk is?
Yes, of course I know what a floppy disk is.
It's magnetic media. So anyway, it was on a CD and you put that in, you got to play it, and it had a cool, like if you press, I forget which function key you would press, a wireframe map of the level on top of the actual three-dimensional thing that you were going through.
Right.
So it would show you things. It wouldn't necessarily show you the levels, like as far as, height, but it would show you an outline of the things that you'd, get to. And if there was a secret area, you would see that there's something behind this that's drawn in there, and you would figure, well, you'd have to try and figure out how to get there, right?
Right.
But it was like one of the first games that I seem to remember where a map was used in that way. Very basic looking, but also just gave you a good idea of where you were in the level. Doom is at its heart, it's an action game, and you got to be on your toes or else you're going to get, your ass fried.
Yeah, basically.
By the devil people.
The devil folk.
Yeah.
Devil
exactly.
pizza.
The devil pizza.
Do you remember Q*bert?
Yeah. One of the coolest things about the original Q*bert, which you, as someone who played it on a system that wasn't an arcade machine, didn't get to experience is, okay, and it's the little things, okay?
It's the small things.
This is one of the cool things about that game was when you would jump off the edge, what would happen is you would hear Q*bert go, ah, and there would be a thing that would like hit the bottom.
Like a knock.
Right. Well, like a knocker that would hit the bottom of the arcade cabinet, so it would hit. You would hear it, like when he hit the ground.
That's amazing.
Who thought of putting that in there? But it just added so much, and it added a humor factor to the game. Notable maps: Horizon Zero Dawn.
Heard of it? Never played it. Oh, I know. I'm so sorry to kill that vibe.
You know what? I forgive you, but it is such a great game. It's definitely something you should play. The story is great.
Okay.
The map, perfect. But if that's not the thing is the story. You've
The story is where it's at.
Yeah, you got a very strong female lead character in Aloy, and any game where you're basically taking down robot dinosaurs with a bow and arrow.
Oh my god.
And it's fun.
That sounds so cool.
It's such a great game. I think it would definitely be up your alley. And I'm looking forward to what they do with Forbidden West, which is going to be on the PlayStation 5 exclusive. Guerrilla Games? Yeah, that's Guerrilla Games. So anyway, and what is the last one? Oh, Jedi Fallen Order.
Can't do it. Sorry, I'm not a big Star Wars person.
No?
Nope.
You know what? Listen.
Yeah.
The first movie I ever saw as a young child was A New Hope. It was Star Wars. I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. It was the first movie I went to that was my real movie. And my mom tried to warn me by saying that, that there are going to be people who were getting shot with guns in it. And I cried and it said I didn't want to go.
Right.
Right. And then I went and I thought it was the most amazing movie I've ever seen.
Right.
But it was the first movie I've ever seen. So, I mean, besides like Disney movies and stuff.
Of course.
But beyond that first three, same thing. It's like, Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Actually, the arcade game was pretty freaking awesome. But anyway, but it wasn't, I've never been a fanboy. I've never been like into the universe. I've never wanted to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I did pick up Jedi Fallen Order because I heard good things about, it was a unique story. The game dynamics were cool, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And they were okay. It was a little Dark Soulsy, and it's in the way.
Dark Souls was good. Sekiro was good too. And Bloodborne, even though they're not the same Bloodborne and them, but Bloodborne was good.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do you like the challenge of those, or do you?
They make me really want to, gouge my eyes out. But I like the art style, and I love the gore. And
okay.
I really have to like sit down and be like, listen, like this is. Just do it. Just do it.
Right.
No matter how much you're gonna hate this, you just got to do it because I want to do it, and I try to prioritize the game over the frustration. Right.
You figure out how to get through the levels and how to, it's kind of tough though, right?
Let's just say I do my best.
Okay. No, that's fine. There's no baby mode on those things.
No, fuck no. There's just that shit rocks your ass.
Yep. But anyway, that being said, it was a pretty good game, yeah. Star Wars or otherwise. Okay. Had a cool reveal with Darth Vader. Anyway, so the thing that I thought was the coolest part about it was the maps. The maps were great because they were 3-dimensional.
Oh wow!
You could rotate them. They were. It was very clear where you. It wasn't clear how you had to get to some place, but it was very clear, showing you where you haven't opened a door or where you haven't done a thing. Right, exactly. So you can actually see all the different in a 3-dimensional space where things were you didn't go to. You know how some games and maps where they have the floors and you just cycle through the floors. It's like the first floor is this, and then the second floor is this map.
Yeah,
and then,
that was big in Resident Evil 8.
Right. And it's kind of confusing because he doesn't put it all together, and sometimes it's not very clear where the staircase is, like where the entrance and exits are. Yeah. Jedi Fallen Order, fabulous map.
Well,
in that game.
I'm so curious. How did you play Alien Isolation at all?
No, I did not.
No? Okay.
Is that also a good map?
It's an interesting map.
Okay.
It's such a weird concept. You would have to look it up. There's no way for me to describe it, to be honest.
So Alien Isolation that's not Ripley's child. It's some other, like, after Ripley.
It's Ripley. Right? It's like Ripley herself, but like, I don't know. I think they tried to do like a reinvent her in a way, I guess, but they call her Ripley.
Oh, okay. So it's like a younger Ripley?
I guess so. It's a good game. It's hard. It takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of patience, but it's so worth it because the alien is an AI, so it learns your entire movement and your entire like everything, which is really scary.
And like where you like to hide and what you like to interesting.
Yeah. So good though.
I wonder if you could like trick it by doing things that don't make sense.
I've done it.
Oh, okay, so that's a valid.
Absolutely.
So if you hide under a tree and then you jump up on I don't know. Okay, we'll wrap this up by doing the question: what makes an effective map in a video game? And what you said perfectly was a legend. You have to have a good, clear, legible, easy to understand legend.
Yep. Hands down.
Anything else that you can come up with?
No. I mean, that's really the heart and soul of a map for me.
Oh, you know what? Another thing is waypoints.
Yep.
Yeah, the ability to
set a waypoint. Yep.
Be it for a mission location or otherwise.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Have you ever played those games that have it's not really a map, but it's like you set a waypoint and then it kind of directs you where you would go.
Yeah, that's what happens in Assassin's Creed, actually.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Does it do it successfully?
The new Valhalla game definitely does it better than Odyssey does.
Okay.
Because the horse will take you right off a cliff. You want to set your controller down to get a drink or something? Don't do it.
Okay.
Don't do it. Valhalla has really pulled through, though. Not gonna lie.
Okay. So you're talking about when you would you just set it on auto, like you set your horse on auto.
It's basically on auto, yeah. It'll either take you way past the point or gets you lost somewhere or ran into something.
Gotcha. So it doesn't stop when it's supposed to.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So it's like cruise control.
Cruise control, basically.
My horse has cruise control. Your Pegasus. Did you ever look at the Pegasus stuff or any of the?
So they had a unicorn.
Oh, unicorn. That was what
it was a unicorn. They have Pegasus in Valhalla, though.
Okay. Okay. Another thing is those waypoints, setting your own waypoint, but then also games. It's not an open world, right? But there are things where you click on a mission. Like that's one thing about. I talked about Outriders earlier. In Outriders, there are games that do this all the time, where you set a mission, like you say, okay, I want to go to that spot. You press a button which will tell you how to get there or point you in that direction. And it points you in a direction you can't go. And some games do it a lot better than others, but sometimes it's like that shouldn't be an afterthought. That should be a key part that you make sure is absolutely correct in a game, because you can frustrate the fuck out of people if you do that all the time.
It's very true.
So I think that's a very important thing. Ooh, zoom. You got to give me the zoom.
The zoom?
The zoom.
The zoom.
All I
like zooming
in
and out of the map.
Yeah, zooming in and out of the map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, sometimes there have been games where it's like,
that's
the map is too... You're right. You can't see the finer features.
Right. If a game is to have a map that's too big... Skyrim's the prime example for having a big map.
Right.
Is when you discover something, it will therefore then pop up onto the map. Therefore, people like to discover all that map stuff. But I love being able to click on a mission and click on a button that will lead me exactly where I need to be instead of trying to go and find it.
Oh,
That's what stressed me out the most, is trying to find something in some place with this new map that I just found with all these new things compared to like Skyrim.
right.
Got a mission, you hit whatever, say console that you're on, and it takes you straight to the mission of the place of the point that you need to be. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that for maps.
It doesn't always fit into the game itself, right?
Right.
It's like there are certain games where that would be what you want it to do, and there are certain games where the exploration is more important than the mission thing. But Skyrim is just so friggin' huge that
It is.
yeah. Well, let's close this episode on maps,
Perfect.
shall we?
Let's do it.
Do you have anything to say about maps?
Anything to say about maps?
No. Do you want to sing the Dora?
No.
Okay. All right.
I guess the best thing I could say is just don't be afraid to get lost.
Exactly. That's good advice in any kind of exploration game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And maybe in
real
life.
life.
So on that note, let's close this up. Close this up. I don't even know what that means.
We can fold this up.
You know what? Perfect. So on that note, let's fold this up like a map. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Too Vague Podcast, Map Edition. I'm Ben.
And I'm Evan.
We'll see you. Well, I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.